In this video, we'll walk you through how to safely and correctly set up your Redvive 840 panel. Begin by unboxing the Redvive 840. Remove all components and place them in a clear, easily accessible workspace. Step 1. Locate the base of the stand. Remove the 4 screws securing the base cover. Then lift the cover off and set it aside.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this top cover off. This is really just covers the guts of where the wiring goes. Okay, so let's get this panel off. There are 4 of these screws. Now you'll see that these 4 screws, they come out real easy. This top cover is going to come off. So then we got the 4 screws. Let's pull this off. And you'll see we've got some controller boxes in here. But before we do anything else and start to plug things in, let's put the wheels on, which are really easy. They really just pop in and they hold.
With the base open and wheels installed, we can connect the power supply and control panel wiring. Here's a pro tip. Slightly loosen both control boxes to allow for movement. This added play makes it easier to align and connect components without strain. Always remember as you route the wires to gently bend and position them to avoid sharp angles or kinks.
Okay, so this is where we're going to start to just plug a few things in. It's actually quite simple. This is where we're going to plug in the power, right? So this looks like your common power cord. One other plug in. So there's only a plug in here and a plug in here. So what I'm doing is I'm loosening this so that I get a little play for space. Right? It's just the tiniest bit. I like to make sure I've got enough space and I'm not kinking any wires. So this is for the controller and for the remote control. And it's easy to know where this plugs into because there's only one spot for that, and that's right here. This connection, we're trying to connect into this controller. So let's go through the hole, get the plumbing correct here. Maybe use a screwdriver to help push that little plastic piece down. There we go. So I'm gonna get some slack. I'm gonna plug in here. Make sure it clicks. We're all good and inside there. Get our wires comfortably set. So this is your standard connection for power, right? And it's gonna go into here. So let's plumb it through right here. Make that connection, like so. And you can start to make your wires so they all fit in comfort. So this, you don't want any slack inside because you are going to use this as close to an outlet as possible or an extension cord if you need to.
Once all internal connections are secure, attach the base stand to the base.
Now we got the big base stand that goes in for the base. And it's got one connection. We're gonna need to feed this inside and then plug it into right here, okay, into this, this controller. So, and you'll see the holes line up, so you can't get it wrong because there's only one way to do it. Feed this through this hole right here. Get your plumbing right, then set it in like that. And you'll see the holes line up. And then go ahead and make that connection. And this is another reason why I loosen this up to give me a little play. Make this connection without having to take this controller out. It fits perfectly, clicks right in. Get your plumbing all good and clear, nothing's kinked. Let's attach the base of this post into these holes. All right, let's get them down. Nice little snug fit.
Now that the base stand is connected, reinstall the base cover and secure it using the original 4 screws.
So let's put the cover back on. So the cover, see, fits just like that. So now we're gonna attach this cover with the 4 screw holes. So we're gonna screw these all the way in, not too snug or too tight, just a nice little snug.
With the base cover securely fastened, let's check that power is being supplied to the unit. Plug the unit into a wall outlet to confirm power is being supplied.
You know, we got the wheels in the base. We've got the plumbing of those few connections inside the base. We got the base cover on, and we've got our post here. This is what raises and lowers the panel. Before we do anything else, let's make sure the connections are all working.
The control panel should illuminate, indicating a successful connection. Once confirmed, unplug the unit before continuing.
I'm using the controller here to make sure it works, going up and down. And you can see, this will come in handy when we talk about the settings, but you can see we've got different measurements of height.
Next, attach the control panel mounting plate to the base of the stand. Make sure it's secured to the fixed portion of the stand, not the telescoping sections that raise and lower.
Since this is the moving pieces, let's do it on the base. So it's like this. And it's as simple as just one of these screws going in and attaching here. Not too tight to strip anything. And we're good, we're mounted.
Now that the control panel mount is fastened to the base stand, mount the control panel onto the mounting plate and ensure it is firmly secured.
Okay, so we've got our bracket mounted. This thing's really light, so it's not really bearing any weight, but this actually fits underneath. The easiest way is to drop your screw right here, set your screwdriver in there, and hold it snug so you can easily go through the hole. And instead of having something someone could cut themselves on, we've got these little round nuts that are more for looks, and you can just hand tighten that on. So that'll hold it in place while you get your other one. You can kind of see it from top down, and there you go. Snug it up good. Put the little vanity bolt on. And there you go, nice and snug, does the job.
Next, feed any excess cable back into the base to eliminate exposed or hazardous wiring.
Now, the next thing I like to do is take this extra wiring and you can tuck it into your base to get rid of it. And you just feed it in there. So you've got all this extra slack, so we can take that and feed it back into the base. There you go.
Now that the base stand is properly assembled, it's time to attach the panel mount on top of the base stand. Ensure the side labeled front is facing outward toward the extended legs of the stand.
So let's go to the next step and assemble the most important part, which is the mount on top of this base stand, starting with knowing which way is front and back. Very important. Front is the front where the legs stick out. Goes on top like this, not the other way. So it sits on top just like this, and we're gonna put 4 big bolts inside here. We're gonna hand tighten them in, and then we're gonna snug them down. It's these 4 stainless steel bolts. Once you get these started, you can usually do them by hand. Just move things around until you get it to seat. So hand tighten those. Then do the other side, and we'll snug them up with the tool afterwards.
Install the 4 stainless steel bolts by hand. Once all bolts are threaded, tighten them fully using the hex tool.
It really helps to not have to make a lot of tightening motion with the tool, but it does the job. So let's snug, snug. If you hand tightened it, you won't have to do this very far. So really get it all the way down there. I like to make sure these are snug. This is a really critical part. Holds a lot of weight.
Once the mount is securely attached to the base stand, attach the panel arms to the mount and secure them in place.
These are the next pieces. These are heavy-duty arms that are going to attach the brackets of the panel. So let's go ahead and line up the four holes here. Obviously, we do one at a time. So you'll see there's 4 holes. And there's 4 holes. So we're gonna line this up. So we're gonna use the 4 long bolts, and they're gonna drop in. So let's go one at a time. Now this is one where you don't want to over tighten one before you do the rest. So we just get them started by hand. I start with front and back. So we are aligned. Just kind of move things around so you know the threads are locking in. Sometimes you get a little bit of a sticky thread. I don't over tighten anything until everything's seated really well. So those are really easy. This was my sticky one, but yep, threads feel good. We're not cross threading. Okay, that's feeling pretty solid. Okay, let's put the other bar on. So now that we have both bars on and secured, we don't want to tighten these down just yet. We want to leave them somewhat loose so that we have a little bit of room for the next few steps.
Next, slide the panel brackets onto the panel arms.
So now we're getting to the exciting part where we're going to attach the panel. Before we attach the brackets to the panel, we're actually going to have the brackets on the mount and utilize the motorized stand lowering down on and lining up the holes to mount the panel. This is an easier way. Do not make the mistake that I made in attaching these onto the panel first and then trying to lift this heavy panel and slide it on. That's not the way to do it. So let's start with the easy part here. Slide these on. That can sit there. So don't be alarmed if this doesn't slide on perfectly because we've got things tightened down here. So I'll try it a couple times. You can I actually got it to work by just squeezing these in a little bit. I got it to work by kind of squeezing this in or just putting a little bit of pressure as I snugged it on.
Once both panel brackets are securely attached to the panel arms, align the screw hole at the end of each panel arm with the corresponding hole on the panel bracket. If alignment is slightly off, rotate the arm or gently lift one side to relieve pressure and align correctly. Once aligned, secure the connection.
So we're going to realign this hole by loosening this up, and it's not so much that we're turning the post, but when we take the pressure, there's not much pressure, and we lift it, you'll see that it aligns perfectly. Yeah, so let's get the screw, now that it's perfectly aligned, let's put that in and it'll hold, and in that way we can hold the weight off and we can snug this down.
Next, let's attach the end caps by pressing them firmly into place on each panel arm.
So we've got these caps that just go on the end here, these end caps, they're rubber, and you just snug them in.
Now that we have all base stand components securely assembled, we can attach the panel to the panel brackets. Place the panel face down on a flat, padded surface that is higher than the lowest setting of the stand. Lower the stand so the brackets rest over the panel. Align the bracket holes with the panel mounting points.
One of those bags has a lot of these small black bolts in there, and the point of that is we are going to assemble these brackets to the panel, and that's what holds the panel in place. So let's go ahead and line it up. And we are going to lower the motorized stand right down onto the holes and align it perfectly. We want to make it so that these two will fit into the two holes on the panel. And you know you're in the middle because the power source is right in the middle of the two bars. So start there. And let's start with just hand tightening some of the black screws.
First, hand tighten all screws, then fully tighten using the hex tool. Now that the panel is securely attached to the panel brackets and base, adjust the panel angle by loosening or tightening the friction bolt on the mount until the desired position is achieved.
Okay, so this is the friction bolt. So if we loosen this just a touch, we're going to be able to easily maneuver the angle, and then we can snug it up if we feel like we need to. This is about 1.5 inches, so you're going to need a large wrench. Move it a little bit, and that's going to make it really easy to move this panel. So once we loosen up that friction bolt, look at how easy it is to move the panel. Okay, so now we've got it the angle we want, 45-degree angle, and let's tighten this to actually hold it at that angle. Nice and snug, and now we're secure. Let's make it official and christen the Redvive 840. I'm gonna pull the last piece off, which there is a plastic covering over your glass.
Your Redvive 840 is now fully assembled and ready to use. If you have questions or need assistance, please contact support@redvivehealth.org.